Congratulations on the purchase of your new MDC CRUIZER SLIDE. Now I'll show you how to set it up. Once you've found a good level spot, applied the handbrake on your trailer and chocked it if necessary, we can put the stabiliser legs down. What you'll need is this speed brace that comes with the camper. Put the legs down, simply pull the blue handle out, lower the leg down, give it a wiggle, make sure that blue handle clicks back into place and is locked. Then put your brace on and you can wind the leg down. A cordless drill with a socket attachment does this very, very quickly. Put all 4 legs down and recheck your level, make sure it's good to go, and we can open the boat rack. To release the boat rack, we need to undo these over center latches. They come with a little linch pin in it that secures them and keeps from rattling open. Pull it down, and when you do, put the latch back up, put the linch pin back through. Now that latch will sit up so it can't accidentally grab back under its little tongue under here, and we do that with the other 2, and we can put the boat rack back. Because the boat rack will actually take itself back when it's unloaded, it's not a bad idea to do this with 2 people. You can have someone else on the other side who can allow the rack to go back in a controlled manner. On your own, you could tie a bit of rope around it and allow it to go up at a speed you desire, or if you're 6'4" like me, you can walk it around. So now it's locked into place. Next, we're going to drop the spare wheels down. Why I did this before dropping the spare wheels down was so I could actually walk around and control the rack opening up. On each side of the spare wheel rack, there's one of these red handles and a pad bolt just underneath. You need to undo the pad bolt on both sides and then release the handles. Let's pull the pad bolt out. And you can twist that and lock it back out of the way. Undo the handles and then lower the spares down. Now they're down, we'll unlock the roof. To unlock the lid, there's 4 of these latches, 2 on each side. Remove the linch pin, undo the latch, then pop the linch pin back in. That'll hold that out of the way. Do that on all 4. Pop them back in. Now we're ready to winch the lid open. In preparation for winching the lid open, I've run out enough slack on the rear winch that it'll allow the lid to go past top dead center and gravity to take over. To get it up there, I'll use the front winch, which I've connected up. Ordinarily with a forward fold, you would put a spreader pole underneath the back here to hold the lid up so you get the right angle with the front winch. You want an angle like that. You don't want to be pulling along the length of the lid, because that's how you break the hardware. So with this one, we don't need to, because this is a very, very lightweight aluminium lid and it's got quite powerful struts. So like this, I'm ready to start winching. Now I can winch the lid over. What I'm doing may actually look a bit awkward, but there is a reason why I'm standing off to the side of the winch and winching with my left hand. You never want to winch one of these in line with the winch strap. If the winch strap is old, weathered, or the hardware for some reason comes away, you do not want to be standing inside that line of fire, because it will come back quicker than a Brett Lee bouncer. So stand off to the side where it's safe and you can wind it over. Now it's past top dead center, I can lower it down with the rear winch. The first time you do this at home, you might want to mark the strap on the back so you've got a reference point for how much slack to let out each time that you set up. Now I can just wind it down. Nice and easy, and we'll use the front winch to lock the lid down in position. Now I can just wind this down. It's set in position. While I'm here, just fold the canvas over the front, get it nice and tidy, and unhook my rear winch. To extend the back of the slide, there's 2 T-handles on the back drawer here. So what we do, undo those both sides, and that'll allow the drawer to move. Now we hop inside and extend it, and then we can put the pad bolt in place to lock it. To get inside, we need to open the door and put the steps down. Nothing difficult. Now on the top of the steps here is an adjustment bar, which allows you to adjust it so the steps will sit nice and even when they're down. It's held in by a couple of linch pins. So what we do is we remove those. So with the pins removed, we can extend the bar and put the pins back into place and lock them in. When you put the pins back in, always put them in from the outside. When put in from the outside, the head sits in nice and close. Particularly important when you're packing up, because you don't want these pins to strike the seal. They're locked in, put the legs down, and now they'll sit flat and firm. Time to hop in and slide out the back section. Doing the slide out section from the inside allows me to lock the section in with the pad bolt. So just on the front frame, there's a pad bolt that I need to slide up into its receiver hole, and that'll keep the whole back section out in place. This pad bolt has 2 positions. The position it's in now locks it down out of the way to make it easy when you close the camper up. To secure this, when it's open, push it down, twist it 90 degrees, and the bolt comes up into this tube here. It's now locked into place, and we can continue setting up the tent. To set the rest of the tent up, we need to zip up these panels on the slide section. They come apart to make sure that nothing catches or tears when we put the slide section away. So to set up, pop the zip in and we do it up. On this end, there's a Velcro. This Velcro attaches just inside on the Velcro strip there, and that closes up the gaps in the tent. And press that into place. The other side's done. Now we can start putting some poles and bow poles in place. Inside your camper, there'll be a pole diagram which will tell you which pole numbers go where. To set up the main tent, we need 4 number 9 spreader poles. They're easy. They're the longest spreader poles with a C-clip at each end. You'll need 1 number 15 spreader pole. Those 4 go in the main A-frame of the tent. This one goes down the back for the last bow pole, and 2 number 6 poles. These go up at the bed head and support the front angled bow pole. I'm going to explain the steps in setting up the main tent once you've extended the back slide section. You will need 4 of these, a number 9 spreader pole. They have a C-clip either end, and they go above me, either side of this bow pole, and just in front of me, above the door, 1 on each side. You'll also need 1 of these, a number 15 pole that will go down the back and spread the last 2 bow poles, and 2 of these. This is a number 6 pole, and they go in each corner at the end of the bed. So the process for setting up the main tent, once you get in, raise this first bow pole, the main bow pole beside the door, raise it up and lock it into position. When you do so, be sure not to overextend the pole. You don't want to stress the canvas and the stitching. So put it up until it's taut, and that'll do it. Lock off the wing nuts and you're right to go. On that pole is a small eyelet just near the door on the annex side. Make sure that's lined up with the sock hole for the annex pole. The next step is to extend the forward bow pole, which runs up at an angle. Extend that out until the canvas looks roughly how it should, and lock it off in place. Then you can put your small poles underneath that, then place the 2 spreader poles between the front bow pole and the main one next to the door. Then adjust those poles to get the front of the tent looking right. You want the door zipper sitting nice and vertical. You want the tent to be nice and taut, not over tight, and sitting the way it looks right. This pole that runs off on an angle is the most important one to get adjusted right. If you don't adjust that pole right, the tent will not go in the correct aspect. If you find your tent is sitting forward, the zippers all look like they're leaning towards the front of the trailer, you've extended that pole way too far. You need to back it off, readjust your spreader poles, readjust the small support poles at the front until that tent comes right. When you get that spot on, placing the spreader poles towards the back of the tent will make it all come to shape correctly. It will all have the right aspect and your tent will look great. So we've placed these poles in the corners, then we place these ones above the door, the two spreader poles. Then we can put the number 15 pole between the two back spreaders. Again, as you raise those bow poles before putting the spreaders in, don't overextend them, don't stress the canvas, get it so the canvas looks right, but it's not tight, it's just taut, and you'll be ready to start laying out your cushions and using the inside of your camper. Now that our main tent's up, we need to do a little bit of housekeeping with the canvas, starting with this little configuration around the gas strut. Pop that round, Velcro that together. Always make sure all the canvas is pulled over the edges and is neat, especially around the back of the camper, and just some press studs and whatnot we've got to deal with on the other side. Just on the driver's side at the back near the slide out, a couple of press studs that need to go on. Pop those press studs on. Bring the Velcro around and connect it up to take care of that gap. On your camper, there is a canvas tropical roof. We use canvas because it's less likely to flap around in the breeze than a nylon tropical roof. Along the side are some straps. They're there to help control any flapping when it is in windy conditions. If you find when you're setting up your tent that the internal roof, the main roof of the tent, isn't quite extending out the way it should be, it could be because the tropical roof is too tight. On this particular model, there is Velcro at each end plus straps. So don't be shy to release it from the Velcro, move it halfway up, and then readjust the straps so you can get the main tent right and no luffs, hollows sitting in the roof of the tent. Now the Cruiser Slide is set up in its most basic tent form, the main tent only, which is perfect for an overnight stay.